In 1971, a man hijacked a plane, took $200,000, jumped into the night with a parachute, and vanished forever. More than 50 years later, nobody knows who he really was. This is the mystery of D.B. Cooper. His name was D.B. Cooper. On November 24th, 1971, he boarded a flight in Portland, Oregon. When the briefcase opened, the flight attendant realized this was serious. As the briefcase opened, revealing what looked like a bomb, investigators would later gather, poring over every detail, trying to piece together the mystery. When the flight attendant opened the briefcase, she immediately realized the threat was real. Inside were wires, red cylinders, and what appeared to be a bomb. There was no panic in Cooper's voice. He remained calm, speaking with confidence as he explained exactly what he wanted. Meanwhile, authorities on the ground were being alerted. Investigators and law enforcement officials quickly began preparing for what was becoming one of the most unusual hijackings in American history. Every decision had to be made carefully, because the lives of everyone on board depended on it. Cooper's demands were simple, but bold. He wanted $200,000 in cash and 4 parachutes waiting for him when the aircraft landed. There was little room for negotiation. The crew relayed his demands, and authorities realized they had no choice but to cooperate. A few hours later, the plane landed in Seattle. The passengers were safely released, and the ransom money was delivered exactly as requested. Along with the cash came the 4 parachutes Cooper had demanded. Everything was going according to his plan. But what happened next would turn a dangerous hijacking into one of the greatest unsolved mysteries of all time. Instead of surrendering, Cooper ordered the plane back into the air. As the aircraft climbed back into the night sky, only a small crew remained on board. The passengers were gone, the money was secured, and D.B. Cooper was now alone with his plan. Outside, heavy clouds covered the sky. The weather was cold. The wind was strong, and darkness stretched 4 miles below. Yet Cooper appeared completely calm. Witnesses later described him as polite, confident, and always in control. As the plane continued north, Cooper began preparing for the next stage of his escape. He carefully examined the parachutes and secured the ransom money to his body. Every movement suggested that this was not a spontaneous decision. It seemed as though he had planned everything in advance. Then, sometime after 8 p.m., Cooper instructed the crew to remain in the cockpit, alone in the rear section of the aircraft. He lowered the staircase at the back of the plane. Minutes later, somewhere above the dark forests of the Pacific Northwest, D.B. Cooper disappeared into the night. No one saw him jump. No one heard him land, and no one would ever see him again. The FBI immediately launched one of the largest investigations in its history. Hundreds of agents were assigned to the case. Forests were searched, rivers were examined, and thousands of leads were investigated. Years passed, but the mystery only grew deeper. In 1980, a young boy discovered several bundles of cash buried near the Columbia River. The serial numbers matched the ransom money given to Cooper nearly a decade earlier. It was the first major breakthrough in the case. But it also raised even more questions. Did Cooper survive the jump? Did he die somewhere in the wilderness below? Or did he successfully escape and spend the rest of his life hidden from the world? More than 50 years later, nobody knows the answer. The mystery of D.B. Cooper remains unsolved.